I visited Disney World numerous times at this point, there are still rookie mistakes that I make every time I visit the parks. And to keep you from making these same mistakes, I wanted to share them all with you today. The first rookie mistake you should avoid is not making park reservations. Now, park reservations have been around at Disney World for a while at this point, and I probably sound like a broken record talking about them, but I still find that I am very bad about making these park reservations. At times, I'll wait till the last minute to make a reservation for going to Disney World, and then by the time I try to make that reservation, I find that the parks are completely booked up and I can't actually go to Disney World. Since I'm local to Disney, it's all right for me in a sense, but for you, if you're making a trip to Disney World and you are vacationing to the parks, the last thing that you would want to have happen is to get to Disney World, not have a park reservation, and find out that there are no more reservations to go to the park that you're wanting to visit. So, to avoid making the mistakes that I typically make these park reservations as soon as you know when you are wanting to visit the parks and what parks you're wanting to go to. The next mistake that you can make is not leaving enough time to travel around Disney property. Now, Disney World property is very big. It's a lot bigger than you may think and a lot bigger than I typically remember at times. But the one thing you'll absolutely want to do is budget time for traveling around Disney World. This is really essential when it comes to getting from your hotel to the parks, when park hopping from park to park, and when trying to get to your restaurant for your dinner reservation. Now, if you haven't been to Disney World before or don't remember where everything is located, one thing that I recommend is going on Google Maps or Apple Maps and trying to figure out how far each of the locations are that you are trying to visit. For example, if you are trying to do park hopping and you want to get from park to park, try to figure out how far it is distance-wise to go from park to park. This will help you to strategically plan out which parks you are wanting to park hop to, so that way you don't have to waste a lot of time traveling from park to park. As I mentioned, this is very handy when it comes to getting to your dinner reservation. Dining reservations are nothing to mess around with when it comes to visiting Disney World, and so to avoid missing your dining reservation and paying a late fee, you'll want to make sure you know how long you need to budget to get from the place you are currently located where you will be dining at. For example, here, if you are visiting one of the parks and your dining reservation is at Disney Springs, you'll want to know what kind of Disney transportation you need to take in order to get to Disney Springs, or if you are driving yourself personally, you'll want to know how long it's actually going to take for you to get there. And that's another thing with Disney transportation. Sometimes it can be a little unreliable and a little delayed at times, so you'll want to budget some time there for that. The third thing here is a big mistake I make at times, and that is not planning properly for the weather. Disney World is located in Florida, and Florida can have very unpredictable weather. At times, I just go into my Disney day not really thinking about what the weather is going to look like, and I really pay for it. To avoid making these mistakes that I do, I recommend checking before you are going to Disney World, seeing what the weather is looking like. This will help you to know what you want to wear for your day at Disney World. If it's going to rain, you'll know if you need to bring some rain gear. I hear people talk a lot about summertime in Florida, but sometimes we forget to talk about the cold weather that Florida has during the winter and fall season. And with that, the weather can dip down into the 40s, and so I recommend wearing layers and having a jacket to bring with you, so that way you don't have to go into the Emporium and spend a lot of money on a sweatshirt or a jacket. So prepare for that weather so that way you can continue making the most of your day at Disney World. Now, this is something that I have gotten rather good at as I have visited Disney World, and this is not waiting in lines that I don't need to. Now, here on my channel, I talk a lot about the My Disney Experience app and how much I think it is a very beneficial tool to use while on your Disney vacation. And with that, there are some features on the My Disney Experience app that help you to opt out of some lines that you may usually have to wait in while at Disney World. And come on, you're waiting in enough lines already at Disney World. Let's cut down on those lines you have to wait in. One way you can avoid lines is by doing mobile ordering on the My Disney Experience app. This will help you when visiting quick service restaurants in the parks or at resorts, because you can mobile order food. By doing mobile ordering on the app, you can purchase and order everything, and then it'll let you know when the items are ready to be picked up. Another thing that you can do on the My Disney Experience app is actually do a mobile checkout. This is super handy when visiting some of the Disney World stores, because they actually have a mobile checkout option that helps you to avoid the long lines that tend to pile up at the cash registers. When it comes to dining reservations, you also can make dining reservations ahead of time if you know what restaurant you are wanting to visit. I personally have not used this, but I know that there also is a mobile check-in option. If you're staying on a Disney World resort, you can check in on the My Disney Experience app. That way you don't have to check in actually at the resort. So I mentioned one way that you can avoid lines is by doing the mobile ordering on the My Disney Experience app, but one other way that you're going to want to avoid long wait times for your food is by eating before or after the peak dining hours. This is something I always like to do when visiting Disney World. If I am looking to get a bite to eat, I like to eat before lunch or a little bit after lunch, and then before or a little bit after dinner. Being hangry at Disney World is no joke, so I highly recommend planning around around that. Okay, this mistake pertains to all of my Disney shoppers out there, and that is if you see something that you like at a Disney store, buy it. Merchandise supplies at Disney World recently has been pretty crazy. You may see something at the beginning of the day and then go back into the store at night and find that it is completely gone. And so to avoid any heartbreak that you may have, I highly recommend if you see something that you like, definitely go ahead and just purchase it because you don't know if it's going to be sold out by the end of the day. There's been a lot of really popular Disney World 50th anniversary merchandise that sells out right away. It usually takes a while for these items to restock, so I just recommend if you see something you like it, go ahead and just buy it because you don't know if it's going to sell out. This next mistake I have really learned the hard way, and that is to stay hydrated. It gets super warm here in Florida. You're going to be running around all over the parks doing a lot of walking, and so you're really going to want to make sure that you are staying hydrated while you're in the parks. And to keep from getting dehydrated, I recommend setting timers or just having mental checks to remind you to take a drink and stay hydrated throughout your day. There are water fountains located all over Disney property. You can fill up a water bottle or take a quick drink, and then you can also go to quick service restaurants and ask for glasses of water. The last thing here is super important when you're visiting Disney World, and I have forgotten this a time or two, and that is to not forget a portable charger. There are so many things that you need to do on your phone whenever it comes to visiting Disney World. I know personally the My Disney Experience app does take a lot of battery, and you'll probably be using it for other things, so I do recommend having a portable charger with you for your day at the parks. Now, they do have outlets around the Disney parks. There are select locations where you can actually plug a cord into a outlet and charge your mobile device, and I've had to do that a time or two, but don't make that same mistake because you're not going to want to waste time sitting there and charging your device. You're going to want to go and experience the park. Do not forget it, because I have. Making mistakes at Disney World can be very stressful, but there's been some ways that I have found to decrease the amount of stress that you experience at Disney that I share in this video, but also by making mistakes, I've learned some essentials that I like to bring with me to the Disney park. I hope you guys have learned from my mistakes and have an enjoyable time at Disney World, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys!